In this episode, we review the recent House of Mouse Expo put on by our friends at the Main Street Mouse. Today is December 14th, 2021, and this is episode 417 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey, guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. And then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. But if you want even more content, including in-park, resort, at-home live streams, discounts on Main Street Magic merchandise, and a whole lot more, check out our Patreon group at wonderlandcrew.com. And then finally, if you're getting ready to plan your next Disney, maybe a Universal vacation, looking to go on a cruise, pretty much travel anywhere else in the world, head to msmears.com to learn more about our wonderful travel partner, Melissa Pilgrim, with Ears of Experience, and fill out a form for a free quote. So the House of Mouse Expo was put on Thanksgiving weekend, November 27th and 28th, by our good friends Scott and Michelle and their entire incredible team over at the Main Street Mouse. This was the first year that they have done it. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. But we did want to talk a little bit about it as we attended that Saturday, and then we had to head home Sunday, but it did run both Saturday and Sunday. And this was located at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Orlando, Lake Buena Vista South. This was we got there in less than 15 minutes when we were leaving Fort Wilderness. So it is a good neighbor Disney hotel, and it's not too far off property. So first off, Rhonda, what did you think of this Embassy Suites as
I really liked
a potential Disney hotel to stay at when you're visiting Disney? What did you think?
Well, I wasn't sure if it was awesome or if it was just I went from staying in a tent for 3 nights to I felt like I was in a mansion.
I think it was awesome.
It really was. It was really pretty. Embassy Suites, hence the name Suites. Every room is a room that has, you walk in and you have like a living room.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
And we had no idea. So we opened the door and we're like, was this what we ordered?
Well, and then it was funny because I did tell a few clients and they go, well, yeah. So I know that's hence the name.
Right. Of course. And that's what a lot of these places are like. We go back to the different, some of these ones we started staying at Flamingo Crossing area are much larger. So we were surprised because all in with parking, what was it, 154 or something for the night?
181.
181. Okay. Yeah. Once we did I think the room was about 150 or so. And then after some parking and the taxes and fees was 180 something. But yeah, I mean, I guess talk more about the room as you walk in and you have a full living room.
Yeah. Like I was saying, you have a full living room, couch that pulls out into a queen bed. Was it a 4-person table with 4 chairs? Like a little almost dining room table, / workstation because it is,
it's got convention space as well here.
So, TV, and then your bathroom. And here's what's funny about this room. There's a microwave, a nice larger fridge, and a sink. And then there's a sink in your bathroom with your toilet and shower. And then you go into your bedroom with 2 queen beds, and there's a sink in there
Another
too.
One, yeah, I know. It was really nice to have.
It was
all of that, especially because it was a single sink in the bathroom, so that became almost like the kids' area. And then
single sink.
The one in the bedroom was ours, and it was nice because it was a lock-off bedroom. I mean, the door closes.
Yep.
So the space was absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
The lobby is gorgeous. There's a restaurant and bar down there.
Yeah.
And a included hot breakfast. And this is not, and nothing against, we love the Home 2 breakfast. We love the one over at Town Place Suites and Holiday Inn Express. But this is a legit, you would pay, $20 per person or something, buffet style breakfast, even with made to order omelets.
Yeah.
And all kinds of things, from eggs and bacon and sausage to cereal and pastries and little miniature donuts, all your coffees, juices. I mean,
sodas.
The price alone, and I'm especially thinking if you are there, obviously for like a week.
Yeah.
First of all, the space is key.
Yes.
That breakfast is key. And there's also an included happy hour every evening.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so those are the things that really add up. Now, difference is, you know, you are going to have to drive to property.
Yeah.
But this is where it really starts to weigh. I mean, you know, we're looking ahead into 2022 and booking out and our different months and all. And for example, we just booked, and I understand it's Christmas. It is Christmas 2022. We just booked for our first ever Disney Christmas on Christmas Day.
How excited are you?
So excited. And a standard room at Coronado. And I understand they're not going to have deals. They don't need them. It's Christmas Day. Standard room all in is over $400 a night. And
so there won't be any deals?
No, they won't have deals for actual Christmas. So, you know, and even looking out, like I was looking in March and April for our anniversary and stuff, and there are no deals yet for those months. And hopefully we'll see those soon as the new year comes around. But right now you're looking at places like an All-Star for, you know, $250, $275 before tax and room fees.
And there are embassy
stuff.
suites over by Disney Springs.
Yes, there is one right there. So I would be interested in checking that one
check
out
that
as well.
out.
Yeah, it's really, really close. And so I think this is a very viable option, just like the Flamingo Crossing ones. And this one, honestly, offered more. It offered more space. It offered more in the way of the happy hour and what you're getting for breakfast. And less price. You know, when we go in January to Town Place Suites, we're paying all in roughly $200 a night, which is more than we've ever paid there. So stuff's going up.
Oh, absolutely.
And one thing I think we're really going to be probably pushed and forced to do in 2022 is look further off property, you know? And again, you need to balance. We have a car with us all the time. There's no extra cost there except a little bit of gas and your time, but you need to balance when you're looking at going, all right, if I'm staying all in $180 a night, 15 minutes away, and I'm going to Uber back and forth, or I have to get a rental car, just get your spreadsheet out and figure out how does that compare to being either just off property that offers some of those shuttles, or, you know, actually being on property and taking, you know, advantage of Disney transportation. So just one of those things to think about. But I was really impressed with this place and the Expo as a whole, which is really focusing on Disney fans. You know, Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel are all going to be represented here. We have celebrities that are set up in a celebrity room. I'll run through them real quick, and then you can talk about them and kind of meeting and some of the options, because the girls, I've not seen this excited and happy in a very long time.
And together.
Like
it was so
being
amazing.
Friends. So we have Bill Farmer, who is the voice of Goofy since 1987, also voices Pluto, Horsecollar, many others. We have Boo Boo Stewart, which we'll talk about.
Nobody knows him. He is from Twilight Saga. He was in
I never knew that.
You didn't know that?
No,
I did.
I
forgot.
I've never seen the Twilight movies in whole.
Okay, I rewatched them recently because they were on Netflix, and I was like, oh, and I need something to watch, so I rewatched them, even though I have all the DVDs. I rewatched them, and I remember seeing him, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I have not seen him in X-Men, which he was in X-Men Days of Future Past. And then his big, what I think everybody would recognize him in, is he is Jay in The Descendants.
Yeah. Which is a franchise.
Yeah.
Now, so we'll talk about meeting him in just a bit. Doug Jones from Hocus Pocus and about a million other things that you often won't recognize him in because he's in full makeup, but he was Billy Butcherson in Hocus Pocus. Been in so many other things. We DJ Elliott, who is always the DJ who is kicking off the big Disney, you know, like run weekends, things like that.
Awesome.
We had Eva Bella and Livy Stubenroch. Probably said her name wrong, who they played Elsa and Anna, the young version in Frozen 1 and 2. They were there. We have Jason Marsden, who is the voice of Binks from Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
You're going to start to see a Hocus Pocus trend. And the voice of Max Goof since 1995. Again, voices many, many other characters.
Yeah.
John Ratzenberger, the Cliff Clavin from Cheers, as well as voiced over a dozen Pixar characters.
Yeah.
Has been in Star Wars, like big time there. We had Larry Bagby and Tobias Jelinek, who you will know as Jay and Ice from Hocus Pocus, along with many other things. Then we had Margaret Carey, who is the voice of Tinkerbell.
Yay.
The original voice of Tinkerbell. And then we had Treva Entine and Vince Lozano, who are both from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
Yeah, that was cool.
So along with these celebrities being there to do panels, up where you could go into these convention rooms and hear them talk all about their movies and things like that. There was a celebrity room that they were sitting at tables at certain time that you had an opportunity to chat with them. And then you could pay for autographs, selfies, photos, things like that.
Yes.
How did that go? Because we could barely drag the girls out of this room.
Oh my goodness. It was so funny. And I'm just so glad that I still see people like Boo Boo Stewart and Tobias and Larry and I'm not like starstruck and like they're regular people and it is and I just so I was super glad that I wasn't like, and I mean even if it was Chris Hemsworth or any Chris picked from Marvel, I think I still would have been like, dude, that's so cool to see him like this, but he's still a regular person. So
yeah, well, it's funny. I was having this conversation with Scott yesterday about how just down to earth all of these people were. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking to Boo Boo. We spent time talking to Larry and Tobias, to Jason.
All right. Well, let me interrupt you because let's go back to Boo Boo because. So it's so funny because I looked his name up and I was like, was he really born with Boo Boo? Like his name's Boo Boo Stewart. His parents, I mean, very possible.
Yeah.
But no, he is actually a junior. And it's really cool because I was curious of how he got his name. And he told me that he used to suck his, I think, two fingers and they said Boo Boo or called him Boo Boo or something like that. And then it just kind of stuck. And nobody really calls him by his real name, which is Nils.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, the girls were dying to meet him. So you can, and you pay $50 and he'll sign something for you and you can get a selfie. And then you can go pay an additional $30 and you can get a printed out and it has the little logo of the House of Mouse Expo on the bottom. And it's, I guess, more or less a professional
I mean, it's a professional photograph.
Right.
In a little makeshift photo studio with backdrop, everything. Yeah, printed right there for you.
So, of course, we already paid for the $30 professional one. And we were going to get them to sign it and start talking to them. And then Lacey saw them taking selfies, with the cell phones. So she's like, I want one. And I'm like, all right. And the guy was so kind because I just bought the signing and he just
it was his dad. It's a family affair. Oh, that wasn't the one taking the money.
Right.
Okay. But it's a family affair with both his dad and sister there with him the whole time.
And it was so cool, really cool. But his dad, holy moly, looked like.
I mean, he played Jesse Ventura in a movie.
Okay.
So yeah, imagine that.
Okay.
Because
I'm like, how do I explain it other than he looked like security?
Yes.
Like
he's doubling as security for sure. But he's also like Boo Boo's agent. Yeah. Travels everywhere with them. Yep. And then to have his sister and all that. It was just so neat to see this family affair. Yeah. It was just so cool.
What was really funny is I didn't know he was the dad until the sister, because he said he had his sister with him. Once you saw him sitting at the panel, you could tell it was a father-daughter relationship, how sweet it was. So I was like, oh, that's his daddy.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
And even just rewinding a little bit more, we were I had gotten us tickets, you and I, because we were going to plan to go over, and I didn't think this would be anything that was going to interest the girls. And so, and again, tickets are extremely affordable for the day, for the weekend, for a VIP package that gets you some extra perks and like a bag and a shirt and a extra badge and all this stuff. But very, very affordable, especially for what you get out of this. And so it happened to mention to the girls, well, Boo Boo Stewart's going to be there. And they're like, oh, well, then we have to go.
Yeah.
And so we're like, all right, then you're going with us. And kids 12 and under are free with a paying adult. So they just had to go to meet Boo Boo Stewart.
Yeah.
And so you could, in the celebrity room, you could go up to any of them, get in line and just chat with them and say, hey.
Yeah. And we figured that we found that out after the girls wanted to go up to Larry and Tobias and,
because this is how they make a large portion of their living,
right?
Is going to these conventions and Comic-Cons and things like that and charging for autographs and selfies.
Correct.
Makes 100% sense. So at first we just weren't sure, like, well, we don't want to take their time when they could be selling autographs and selfies. So we weren't sure. And I believe it was Corey who we kind of asked, and he's like, I'm not 100% sure, and we kind of walked out of the room and he chased us down. He's like, yes, you can go right up to them and talk to them.
So then we couldn't drag the girls out.
We could not drag them out of that room.
They went and talked to Elsa. Well, their names aren't Elsa and Anna, and it was so funny because at one point, like, Kaylin was like, they're older. And like they were talking about school and stuff. And we're like, well, yeah, this was a while ago now.
I know.
Everybody grows up.
Yeah. Well, in my favorite part was if you have listened to us for a while or follow us on social or in the Main Street Magic community, we dressed up as the Descendants a couple years ago for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. I went full Jay. I actually had to make my own costume because you couldn't just buy one off the shelves the way, you and the girls could. Yep. And so I got a wig and I got the hat and I actually bought jeans and a jean jacket that I like cut off the sleeves and spray painted. And we bought fake zippers that we glued all over it. Rhonda got these little like diamond studs or metal studs that she was pressing into the jacket and went full out creating this. And so I brought up the picture and we went and just kind of said hey to him. And I showed the photo to him and he was like, whoa. Like he was so taken back by it. He was even like, what, why on earth would you guys decide to go dressed as the Descendants? And in fact, he's like, can I take a picture of your phone with the photo? And he did. And then he ended up showing his dad and sister later and all, but it was just talking to him, talking to Larry, Tobias. We talked to Jason, Doug. All of them were just so down to earth and humble. And going back to when I was talking to Scott yesterday, I do think that comes from the level that they're at. Yeah. Because not that I don't think a Chris or a Chris or a Chris or, not that, or Paul Rudd or Robert Down. Not that I don't think any of those guys are probably jerks. Right. I've heard you hear great things about all of them. Right. They're at such a level that it isn't as just approachable. They would just be swarmed with people anywhere they went. Whereas I think you could see Larry and Tobias, hanging out in the lobby later in the evening and you could just walk up and be like, oh, hey guys, how was the day today? Did you guys have fun here? Like, in just a different way. And they're just so humble and down to earth. I was wearing the Main Street Magic holiday design with a little Santa hat in our logo. And even Larry was like, well, what's your shirt? You guys do a podcast? And we were like telling him about it. And he's like, oh, that's really cool, and gave him our little card and all. And it was just so, they were so nice. Yeah. Yep. And not, again, you're talking to them, not at any time do you see them glancing at their watch like, all right, these people, and they might be thinking it, they might be like, all right, these people have been here like 5 times. Let's, move on. Not once. And so, to me, that opportunity, and like Doug was telling the girls stories from Hocus Pocus and stuff and filming, and that opportunity to me alone was worth going to this. If all you did was go around the celebrity room and just talk to these people who, again, are very down to earth and will share stories with you and listen to you and all, I think that alone is worth it. Yeah. But in addition, you've got an awesome expo room with vendors A lot of local vendors selling everything from
Oh my goodness.
Scentsy products with John and pandasmells.com. We saw Lou Mangello's there, they're with WDW Radio and MEI-Travel and all that. There's some vendors there doing shirts, ears, a lot of people selling Funko Pops. Somebody there who's doing like an Adventurers Club type reboot. Stitch Tunes.
That was so cool.
What is Stitch Tunes? You can go to stitchtunes.com or at Stitch Tunes on Twitter and Instagram.
Well, if you love Stitch, he has so many different characters of him dressed as or designed
mashups.
Or I don't know how to
mashups,
and then just all kinds of Stitch stuff.
Yo, it's so cool.
Like
we bought
anything
3 prints.
I feel like you could ask for.
Yeah, I got a and these all be for Christmas, so I'll act surprised. I got a Stitch that is Olaf mashup. Kaylin got a Freddy Krueger Stitch mashup, and then Lacey got a Spider-Man Stitch matchup. And these are just incredible
They really are.
drawings / digital paintings that you can get these prints of. And again, stitchtunes.com. You can find any of them, order them. Very, very cool and unique pieces.
Yeah.
And then they did have a lot of other Stitch related merchandise stuff, but that's where we got the Haunted Mansion sipper that we were missing from the Hitchhiking Ghost set. We were able to get there.
We were.
So we completed that set because randomly I looked down and I'm like, wait, which one do we have? And we had to like go back. And so we ended up getting that. Something else then that they're doing, or they're actually doing these panels. So, for example, there was an entire panel where Michelle sat down with Boo Boo Stewart. And not only, she started about the first half of the panel, was just asking him questions, general questions, how you got into this and all that type of stuff. But then they opened it to the floor for people to ask questions. Both the girls got to ask him a question, which was so cool. It was and then the Hocus Pocus reunion. It was the first time that Doug, Larry, Jason, and Tobias had been on stage together. I think they said since the movie. All 4 of them together. I think Jason was kind of that missing piece. Because he was a voice actor.
So he wasn't in on set.
I think he said he visited set once actually. Everything else was his voice acting. But again, we got to hear, oh my goodness, go out to the Main Street Mouse YouTube channel. They have the full video of this panel up there. If you are a Hocus Pocus fan, you have to watch this. Absolutely fascinating. The stories that they told.
Bet freaking Midler.
Oh, Doug Jones is an absolute joy to watch. They all are. But he was so much fun to watch. And you can tell why he plays these characters he plays that are usually in full costume and very animated.
And what's really cool was he said, too, I thought, was... he will be in Hocus Pocus 2 as Billy.
He is back.
He will have more speaking parts because his mouth is not sewn anymore.
And Jason came out in a full Binks onesie
that a fan gave him
from Spirit Halloween, though.
That
you could get at Spirit Halloween, and he did the Binks voice. And all
that was so cool.
You have to go watch this panel. It was so good. And there's so many cool little nuggets. It's like watching almost a quick commentary of the movie. And you learn so many cool little things from each of these guys. And you can tell, now they do a lot of these Comic-Con type things together, especially Doug and Tobias and Larry. And you can tell that they're buddies and friends, and that there is this kind of rapport between them. And then finally, we ended the night. It was an extra paid event, but they did a Pleasure Island rewind party that first it was like a dessert party. It was a party.
So good.
And then also they brought out several of the original cast members for a panel from the Adventurers Club at Pleasure Island, which again was absolutely fascinating. I believe that is out on the Main Street Mouse YouTube channel as well. Highly recommend you go watch it. You will learn so much. I'm not a Pleasure Island guy because I didn't live here. I didn't grow up going. I know David and Logan have many, many tales and stories from going there as young adults. I don't. So it was even fascinating to me to hear all about the Adventurers Club and hear from these original
I went a couple of
actors
times, but I don't remember that aspect of it.
I mean, we're going far back. This is over half your life ago, basically, which is
if Logan and David have
know,
memories, so do I.
I know, they're the same age, but it was just so cool. And I gotta say, we did a long time ago, we did the Star Wars dessert party, which we've talked about, and they definitely had made some upgrades before that all got shut down. I had done the Frozen dessert party as part of a extra paid D23 event. The desserts at this blew me away. This was the best dessert party I think you could have. These desserts were outstanding. Everyone looked like, first of all, a piece of art, and everyone was absolutely delicious.
And
that
they had
little
giant
mug
cupcakes.
Thing, oh, the cupcakes.
And they were so good.
So
good.
Light and fluffy. What was it that was in the mug? Because it was like a hot chocolate, like almost creme brulee mousse with, I don't even know, but
probably
holy
that.
moly. It was so good and well worth it. And I'm hoping that they do something similar or the same next year. We will go back. You can go to houseofmouseexpo.com. It's just a landing page right now, but bookmark it. If you don't already follow the Main Street Mouse, go to their website, go to all their social channels. Scott, Michelle, their team, they're some of the best. And it was so great to finally connect with them. We're going to have them on our show early next year. And Scott and I have been chatting a lot. He's such a good dude. And we're excited to maybe get a chance to do some things with them in the future. Highly recommend you check them out and you go to this expo next year and we will see you there. In fact, we're hoping we will have a booth there next year as a vendor. So we would love to be able to do that and be a big part of this thing, because this is going to be something that's going to be around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a one and done situation. They really knocked it out of the park. Well, thank you guys, as always, so much for listening, and we appreciate you tuning in every Tuesday and Friday. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for new episodes on those days. And as long as you're out there on the internet, we would absolutely love it if you could leave us a rating and review,
because it helps our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.